for the younger kids and guys coming up, whether you're in college or in the minor leagues, like it's okay to work on things. It's okay to try and get better in certain areas of your game, but also, something that our pitching coach here in Cincinnati says a lot is be great at what you're good at. And so, like, for me, it's my fastball. My fastball needs to be great. I need to be great at my good fastball. For you is your speed. You know what I mean? Like, use your speed to your advantage. For other guys, it's their slider or their curveball or their changeup. That's the approach I'm going to take to it. Again, is just I'm going to be great at throwing my fastball. And then as soon as somebody turns a fastball around and hits it 470 feet, then I'll throw something else.
Arteaga drives one to center. Miller hustling over. Diving catch by Ian Miller. A great catch.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the 9-Hole Podcast. This is your host, Ian Miller. You know what the 9-Hole Podcast is about. I try to give insight and information to the next generation of 9-hole hitters, the next generation of players that want to do big things in the big leagues, right? Overcome obstacles and get to where they're going. Today, I am joined by somebody that I've grinded with, somebody that I've looked up to, and somebody that I am extremely proud of. Emilio Pagán, relief pitcher, bullpen piece, new signee with the Cincinnati Reds. Pagán, how you doing, brother? It's a pleasure to have you here.
Dude, I appreciate you having me on, man.
You good? You hear me?
I'm kind of losing you a little
You're
bit.
good.
Let me make sure my internet's all good.
No worries, bro.
All right.
No worries, man. You good here?
Yeah, I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. How you doing? How you living?
I'm doing great, man. Just trying to get ready for the season. Before we go any further, like I told you when we were texting about me coming on, I need you to stop being so humble about your career, man. You were a great player, and you weren't just a 9-hole hitter. We talked about it when we lived together. We talked about it on the road together, and I'm proud of you, man. I'm happy for you and your family, and I'm glad you had me on.
Ah, man, that fires me up. I appreciate it, brother. I was fortunate enough to maximize like everything I had. Dude, coming up through the minor leagues, we'll touch on it, like the development, the process of grinding, getting to where we were at. Like I was an outfielder that could just run, right? And the defensive piece came a little bit later, right? Being able to slow the game down and then being able to get the ball out of the infield, that came a lot later. But like, dude, being able to kind of maximize everything and take it as far as I could, man, that's what it's all about, brother. So I appreciate that, dude. So spring training is ramping up, dude. You're full go. I know you got an off day today. How is the life, man? Like, how are you feeling? How's the mind? How's the body, dude? Just take me a little bit through that.
Everything's good, man. My body feels good. My arm feels good. Those are, obviously the first things everybody's asking about. My mind is good. I wish my family was with me. My wife and my girls are back home in Charlotte. Just part of getting older, like my daughters are now older, and so they're in school. And so, come opening day, they'll get to come out and my wife will do the homeschool thing. And, but up until then, they need to be in school and they need to be with their friends and getting that social aspect of their life too. So, they're looking forward to baseball season. They enjoy it. My youngest daughter, Lexington, she was already asking me if there was going to be playoffs this year in Cincinnati, because she really enjoyed the playoffs last year in Minnesota. So, we got to do our job and get her there. So, but we're looking, and everything's good.
Oh, that's awesome, brother. I'd love to hear it. So obviously you went through like the free agent process this year. I don't know a whole lot about it, right? There's a whole lot, there's rules, right? Arbitration 1, 2, arbitration 6. I don't even know that stuff. I don't know what kind of, the pressure was like, dude, but you were on a 2-year deal. Is that a weight off your shoulders, dude? So obviously, like, you're outside of the rookie contract, you're outside of the arbitration, like you are locked in, dude. You are where you're supposed to be. Is that pressure on you or is that pressure off of you, dude? How is that?
I can't speak for everybody, so I'll just speak on my personal experience. So coming up, this, man, I signed for $5,000 out of the draft. And I always knew, and I wouldn't say knew, but I believed that if I was given an opportunity to keep moving forward and get to the next levels and then eventually into the big leagues, I believed in my ability to compete. I've never had the best stuff on a team I've been on, but I just believed that if I was given an opportunity, that I'd be able to make the most of it. And so I ran with that really for my first 3.5 years in the big leagues. And then you start getting into the arbitration process, and you can't help but think about the amount of money that you're about to hopefully make, just because it's unbelievable. And coming from where I signed for $5,000, you start talking about $1.5 million ARB1. I mean, it's honestly mind blowing when you're going through it. You're like, how in the world did this happen so fast? So I tried really hard not to think about it. I mean, but we're human, and I want to provide for my family and for my daughters and, hopefully for their daughters and their sons or whatever when they get older. So this window is super short. And so naturally I started thinking about it, and I think it got a little bit out of control for me as far as the mental side goes. Just I caught myself thinking about it all the time, and I wouldn't say worrying about it, but just I wanted to maximize my earning capabilities, and I think it did kind of run the wheels off the wagon a little bit on the field, because I caught myself, like as a reliever, you can really only add value to yourself in arbitration through leverage innings, holds, saves. The big out in the fifth inning when you come in with the bases loaded and you punch two guys, like as awesome as it is, it doesn't really add any value to you in arbitration. Like it doesn't really do anything. And so, not that I wouldn't say I talked about this with Ken Rosenthal the other day, and not that I had like a selfish attitude towards it, but I found myself, like, because I was thinking about it, away from the field, that when I'd get those big opportunities early in a game, I wasn't as excited for them. And so I had to kind of shift my mindset. And that happened last year, my last year of arbitration with the Twins. I just kind of told myself, you know what? Like, I've already made way more money than I ever dreamed of making playing this game. Like, I'm just going to go have fun. I'm just going to go and treat every inning like I'm just playing catch in the backyard. And I really don't care, like, what inning I throw. Can I handle the ninth inning? Sure. Yes. I know I can. I know I'm talented enough. I know I compete well enough to be a closer in the big leagues. I know that. But I just went back to just being me, and just, you know what? As soon as I get handed the ball, I'm going to go dominate. I'm going to go have fun. I don't care what inning it is. And that was a weight off my shoulders. Not necessarily the free agent contract or whatever, having a 2-year deal. Like, as cool as it is, and yes, it's amazing. It's a blessing from God. But like, the weight came from just going back and playing baseball and not treating it like a job or where's my next promotion coming from. Like, I just went back to just playing the game. And for me, mentally, that was the biggest weight off my shoulders.
Dude, that is absolutely incredible. I always wondered, dude, like, you see these guys that get these big, massive deals, and then kind of right away, I don't know if it's added pressure or they feel like they need to live up to the expectations. They play into it and they achieve it. They get the contract, they garner that attention. And then once they get it, maybe they have a little slump going into it. Like, I always wondered about it. Obviously, like, the mentality has played a strong, important piece in your career, getting to where you're at, dude. We'll dive into that with the mindset. You started touching on it. I'm getting excited already. Where you're at right now, right? So you're feeling good, you're looking good, man. The mind's good. The preparation with the offseason, dude. What is that like? So you've been healthy, dude. You've been healthy. You've had great years. Like, when the season's done, do you take some time off? Like, do you take time off from throwing? Do you take time off in the weight room? I know what we've done in years past. We'll also kind of dive into that, right? And the development and the grinding in the minor leagues. But like, dude, what is an off season like for you as you're kind of preparing for another big year?
Man, I've tried all kinds of things, and just because you only get one shot at this, so I didn't want to try one routine in the off season, and it whether it went good or bad, and be like, you know what, that's my routine from now on. So I wanted to try multiple things, so coming up through the minor leagues, Me and you, we moved out to Arizona together. We lived together. We were at the complex all off season. Tried that. Went home. Got a membership at a 24-hour gym down in downtown Charlotte. Did all my throwing there. They had like a brick wall in the back. I talked to the owner. I was like, "Hey, can I throw these plyo balls into this wall?" With headphones on by myself. Tried that. I've done the baseball facility type stuff at a gym called Showcase Baseball Academy in Charlotte. They were awesome to me and a couple of my buddies that I've trained with the last handful of years. So I've tried that. I've over the last few years bought some gym equipment and built my own weight room at home, and done my own throwing at home into a net. So I've tried that. And so I wouldn't say that I have like this nailed down, super regimented routine that I know I'm going to do as soon as the season ends. I have certain things that I want to do. And so, I've done the take time off from throwing. I've done the don't take any time off from throwing, and I'm throwing the day I get home from season. And these are all just like ideas that I've heard from guys that I've played with, like guys that have had long careers, guys that have had short but very, very good careers. And a lot of it is just trial and error for me. And so I know when I get home, I want to get into the weight room pretty quickly. So I'll generally take 2 weeks off from lifting, and then I get back into the weight room and start doing a lot of strength building stuff. I don't really focus too much on the mobility early in the off season, which I know is different from some guys. Some guys get in and they just stretch and do mobilities and whatever for the first month or so then they can add the weight aspect to it. I don't enjoy the mobility stuff, and so I just don't do it. You know what I mean? I try to make it to where I'm enjoying what I'm doing. That way it doesn't feel like a job. And so that's kind of, there's little things along the way that I go to. But as long as I'm throwing and long tossing by like early December, and then I can be on a mound by around January 1st. Like I know everything else will take care of itself. And so there's little like hurdles that I try to hit along the way to get there. But as long as I'm ready to touch the mound, like right around New Year's, then I'm ready.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I've always heard the importance of routine, right? Some guys can remain stuck in their routine and it almost becomes a crutch. Like, oh, dude,
Right.
I didn't start throwing by October, so now and then the wheels start spinning. It's like, dude, you find success doing one thing, but like I've always heard, I feel like I've watched the McGregor documentary, and I've heard this thing back in the day where it's like he said, improvise, adapt, and overcome. And dude, he said that. I think that was in the documentary back in like 2018 or something like that. And I still like just play it in my head: adapt, improvise, overcome. Right. So if something doesn't go your way with a routine, or you are in a certain area where you can't do a certain type of exercise, it's like, dude, you will adapt, you'll improvise, and you'll overcome. That's so sick. Like being able to hear that, dude. I absolutely love that, man. I want just talking about the journey to get to where you're at. So I've had some dudes on here. Obviously, this is the 9-hole where we talk to the next generation of 9-hole hitters, give them insight, right? And just try to fire them up a little bit. Let them know that everybody's story is different. Dude, you don't need to be a first rounder or a full ride type of player to get to where you want to go, right? If that's your dream, like you can overcome obstacles to get there. So I wanted to hit on how you got to where you're at, dude. So let's talk about college, bro.
Yep.
So you got taken in the 10th round out of Belmont Abbey, right? D2, but
Right.
You didn't start there, right?
No, I started at Gardner-Webb University, a small D1 in the Big South. I committed there as a shortstop, and learned pretty quickly that I didn't have the elite quickness or the speed to play shortstop. So I got moved kind of all around the diamond, man. I played some left field, played some first base, played some third base, and all along the way I was pitching. But I never wanted to be a pitcher. I didn't want to pitch. I wanted to play third base. I wanted to hit homers. I wanted to be that guy, And so I think because of that mindset, like it took the pressure off of performing on the mound, and I could just go throw. Like I always had a strong arm, very similar to you. Like you had a bazooka from the outfield, and so I knew if I got on the mound and threw it over the plate, like hitting's hard. I knew it was hard because I wasn't very good at it. And so I just tried to take that onto the mound. But yeah, I never wanted to be a pitcher. I wanted to be a third baseman. I had a very arrogant approach. I was going to be on the heater. And so because of that, I swung at every breaking ball that bounced in front of home plate, no matter what. And so, yeah, that's kind of how college went. And then, yeah, the Mariners called. I got an opportunity to play pro ball in 2013 draft and ran with it.
I love that, brother. I just kind of getting flashbacks to, man, I was in Everett, like we were in Everett, and I'm playing right field or center field. I forget what it is. I called off, I think Austin Wilson at the track at home, dude. And I caught it and I tried to throw him out at home and I sailed it. I let it go up here and it just went like 3/4 of the way up the backstop, dude, from the outfield. Like just absolutely let it eat. I think I got benched after that, bro. But it was good times, man. Good times. So
remember that throw, and we got back to our hotel room that night, and kind of not saying anything. I don't think I pitched that day, and it was kind of quiet. We were sitting we had the double queen bed or whatever. And you look over at me, you go, "Hey, can we talk about that throw today?"
Dude, I'll never forget it. I remember being in that hotel room too, man. I remember listening to like Miley Cyrus, I think. I seriously am like taken back. I feel like I remember that. I'll probably actually send a little bit of this to Austin Wilson, let him know, like, dude, we were talking about it, man. So you, dude, obviously, like you had a little bit of a headwind. Things weren't working out at Gardner Webb. You had to go to the D2. You had to go to the D2 route. You had to get on the field and you had to do your thing. Even though you're facing those trials and tribulations, like, did you know that it doesn't matter. Like, you're a man on the mission. Like, do you know you're going to be a major league pitcher at that time? Obviously, the pitching was kind of secondary, but did you know, regardless of where you're at, you're still going to be a major league player? Like, is that confidence still there at that time?
Yeah, 100%, man. And I don't, like, looking back, I don't know why I was there. Like, I didn't have amazing numbers. I didn't throw 95 miles an hour. I was 88 to 92, like nothing about me should have been like, this guy believes he's going to be in the show. You know what I mean? Like nothing about me said I was going to be a big leaguer, but for some reason I believed it. I just thought that if I got a chance to play pro ball, like I was going to make it. And I've given a lot of people have talked about that. Have asked me, like, did you always know, recently after I signed the deal with Cincinnati? And I keep coming back to the same answer. Like my mom and dad, man, like they always supported me and my brothers, no matter what we wanted to do. And it never felt like this unreachable dream scenario. It was just like, no, hey, if you want to do it, like, we're going to support you. Like, you need to work really, really hard. But if you work really, really hard and you're dedicated to it, like it's a reality. Like, people do make it. It's not impossible. Is it improbable? Yeah, but it's not impossible. Guys make it to the big leagues. And so, for me, I just figured, why can't I make it? I throw strikes. I'm not afraid of any hitter that gets in the box. Like, yeah, some hitters are going to get me. Like, they're going to clip me, sure. But I think every hitter that I've faced along the way they would agree when I say this, like, I'm going to throw a strike. I'm going to come over the part of the plate. Like, it's in your court now. Are you going to hit it or are you not?
Dude, yeah.
And so that's kind of the way I've always went about it. You know what I mean? Coming up through the minor leagues, like, there was a couple of years where I was the last guy in the bullpen. Like 2015, we go to high A. I didn't throw for the first 7 days of the season. And I'm thinking, I'm probably going back to Clinton here soon. So this first outing better go really well. And then again, the next year in Double A, like, we go to Jackson. We're there together. I didn't throw the first 2 series. And those are 5-day series. I didn't throw at all. My first outing came in Chattanooga, and I'm like, this better go good or I'm going back to single A, or worse, I'm probably going home. And so those doubts still ran through my mind. I just always believed that if I was given a fair opportunity and a shake, like, to go out and perform, that I'd be able to do it.
Oh, dude, that's fantastic. Obviously, like what you're saying, the support system from the family, your parents, dude, can make anybody rise up, dude. That's fantastic. The support, you got Jordan, you got the family behind you, dude. It's tough almost to fail when you got like that loving support system behind you, like having your back anyway, and the unwavering confidence, dude, even if you have to trick yourself into thinking it, like, dude, that is unbelievable. Like, being able to have that confidence there, bro. It's even when things are going well. Like, dude, I'm at fault for this playing GM. Things aren't going well. Dude, it's double A. I'm at the halfway point. Like, I'm slumping. I'm like, dude, somebody just got called up and it just steamrolls. It just goes downhill from there, bro.
Yeah.
So like that's so awesome with the confidence, man. The importance of confidence, the support system, right? Being able to take it anywhere. The minor league grind, right? So we get through college, man. 10th round, D2, 10th round, $5,000. So each year, each level, you're trying to incrementally like get better, incrementally progress 1% each day, however you want to say it, dude.
Yep.
Getting better and evolving, right? The sacrificing in the off seasons, dude. I spent a little time with you. What did that do for you? Being able to kind of like sacrifice that stuff, say, dude, you know what? I don't necessarily have a ton of money in the bank. I got 5 Gs, but I'm going to risk it all, put all my chips out here in my career, bet on myself, get out there and like separate myself, grind every single day, know that I'm putting in more work than anybody. Like, was that like a big building block for you? And obviously, like we touched in the confidence, like leading to success, but like what little things like that led you through the minor leagues, man? Like what does the hard work and the confidence and the sacrifice all lead to and kind of got you to where you're at?
So, I mean, the big part of moving out to Arizona was like I wanted the Mariners and their front office to know how serious I was about this. It wasn't really like it wasn't necessarily about the training. Like I knew I could train at home. I knew I could go get stronger at home, but I wanted them to know like this is it for me. Like I don't have a backup plan. I'm not going home and getting, an off-season job. I'm not going home to hang out with friends and family. Like this is it. Like this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. And I needed them to meet me at that serious level. You know what I mean? Like I needed them to be all in on my career as much as I was.
Reciprocate.
So my idea of going out there was to show them and to prove to them that like I've told you I believe in myself, but now I'm showing you I believe in myself. And so, I remember I had a conversation with Chris Gwynn that first off season we were in Arizona. So started at Instructs, and they approached me about becoming a starting pitcher.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and so I did the starter thing through Instructs. I kept my head down. I didn't argue with them. But then when Instructs ends, we had our one-on-one player meetings, and they tell you, hey, this is what we like, this is what we don't like, this is what you work on when you go home. And I told him, well, I'm not going home. Like I'm staying here. I'm going to keep working out. And he was kind of surprised. And I said, but I do have one question. Like this whole starter thing. Like, do you think I can start in the big leagues? And he kind of hesitated. And I looked at him. I said, look, man, I'll start. I'll be a starter next year if the Seattle Mariners want me to be a starter in Seattle. But if not, like if I'm just starting just to like throw these innings and cover for some younger kid, like no disrespect to them, like that's not I'm not interested in doing that. And so if you don't think I can start in the big leagues, then I don't want to start. I'm going back to the bullpen. And I remember he kind of sat back in his chair and was like, who the heck is this 10th round punk from like a D2 school we gave $5,000 to tell me, the farm director, what his role is going to be next year. But dude, credit to him, man. He was like, you know what? I like that. Go back to the bullpen. Like if you're that convinced about it, like let's do it. And so I don't know if that had any impact on me moving forward. But I do know that they knew I was serious and that they knew that I believed in myself. And so, that was the whole idea behind going out there.
It's absolutely amazing. So that's the man on the mission mentality, right? That is the mindset, the elite, the confident mindset, dude, the unwavering like faith in your ability. Dude, growing up, I know even the gamer tag, PlayStation gamer tag, right? MOAM. I'm not going to give out the numbers at the end, right? Yeah, we're going to let it remain anonymous.
Yeah.
But man on a mission, that's what it stands for, dude. Like we touched on the confidence as being a huge part of your game. You even alluded to, man, you're throwing 88, 91 in college. You're not 6'8" throwing 102, right? So how are you going to separate, dude? Was that mentality, that mindset, like that's the separator? Dude, what kind of like role did that play in it? I just kind of wanted to touch on when I noticed it, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I knew that you were confident, but I have it written down here. You went, I think it was like 2016 or 2017. I don't remember what it was. It might have been the off season and then going into spring training. I forget.
Yeah.
But you went and you did something with like Team Puerto Rico or Puerto Rico. I forget what it was. And dude, when you came back, like you were different. And I'm not saying that you were throwing 8 miles an hour harder, but like when you came back, it was almost like, yo, dude, something's different about this guy. Like, I don't know if something clicked or what, but like you came back and dude, I could see like the confidence coming out like through the pores in your veins, brother. Is that like, has that always been the separator for you? And has that gotten you to where you're at right now?
So Team Puerto Rico 100% changed the trajectory of my career. So it was kind of like a 2-year process though. So I went in 2015, played in the Premier 12 overseas where we go to Taiwan, we go to Japan. And I threw well, I threw well, but it was still like it was a minor league tournament, you know what I mean? International tournament. And so I threw well, didn't think much of it, more than it was just like really cool to represent Puerto Rico, represent my dad's side of the family, while playing the game that me and my family love. And then when the tournament ended, our manager, Edwin Rodriguez, our bench coach, Carlos Baerga, they came up to me like as we're leaving the team hotel. We lost in like the quarterfinals or something to Japan. Kenta Maeda actually threw that game. That was my first time really like understanding like big leaguers are just different. You know what I mean? They're just better. And so we're leaving the tournament or the hotel, and they came up to me and they were like, "Hey, we'd like for you to be ready to play in the WBC in 2017." And that's when it finally like hit. Like I've always believed I could do this. I can play at the big league level. And while the WBC is not a major league game, I mean, people who watch the WBC realize those aren't like regular season MLB games. Those are playoff games. And so, I didn't know what I was getting into, but I knew that they wanted me to go play in that. Like I needed to be ready. And so 2016 comes. So 2015 had that tournament. 2016, we go to Double-A together. I'm a first half All-Star in the Southern League. Still not throwing very hard. I'm like 92, 93, 94 at this time. But I had the best numbers on the team in the bullpen. And I get called in to Brownie's office there in Jackson. And like in the back of my head, I'm like, I might be going to the big leagues right here. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing it. I haven't given up a run in a month and a half. They send me to AAA. And while I was super thankful and excited to go to AAA, like I also kind of wanted to know, well, why am I not going to the big? All I've heard in spring training the last 4 years is if you can play in AA, you can play in the big leagues. I'm not only playing in AA, but I'm dominating AA. Why am I still not good enough to go to Seattle? And like 2 weeks later, Edwin Diaz and Dan Altavilla go to the show.
I remember, dude.
They go to the show, and I'm like, wait a minute. I love both of those guys. Like I played with those guys. They're my boys. Like when you're in the bullpen together, you get on a different level of close because you do more stuff with your bullpen mates than you do with your family in season. And so they go to the show, and I'm like, wait a minute, I had better numbers than them. Like, what's the difference? Well, the difference was they were throwing 98 miles an hour. And so, 98 plays a lot better in the big leagues than 92 does. And so that was when it clicked physically for me. It was like, all right, I need to go home this offseason, and I just need to throw harder. Like, the mindset has gotten me this far. It's gotten me to AA. It's made me a AA All-Star. That's awesome. But if I want to be the player that I want to be, like I need to take a physical jump now. And so I started doing the Driveline program that offseason. And then that was leading into the 2017 season that you're referring to. So I come back to spring training, 2017, and I'm there for like 3 days. And then I go to the WBC. And so I hadn't thrown yet a bullpen for the Mariners at the time. My first bullpen with Team Puerto Rico, I'm like 94 to 96. I'm like, I'm freaking out. I've never thrown this hard in my life. You know what I mean? And I just remember being super, super excited. And And then when everybody says you have that moment where you realize you do belong, right? And I'm throwing this bullpen, and Yadier Molina walks over, and he goes, "Hey man, that looks good. We can use that. That can help us. Be ready to go." And I'm like, "This dude's the best catcher in baseball, and he's telling me they can use me."
Yeah,
And
dude.
and so that's when I felt like, you know what, like I can pitch in the big leagues. And I threw well in WBC and came back, and I actually wasn't invited to Major League Camp that year with the Mariners. And I don't want to go into detail on that, but I wasn't invited at all. And I came back after WBC, and a month later, I'm in the big leagues, and I've been there ever since. So it's crazy, man, how it happened so quick. But I think like you touched on the separator. For me, it was mindset for a really, really long time. I just always pitched like I was 6'8", like I was throwing 100. That's just how I pitched. I leaned on my fastball. I attacked hitters. But it got to a point where I had to look in the mirror and realize, like, I'm just not as good as the guys that are going to the big leagues. Like, I had to be honest with myself. I don't throw 95 miles an hour. I don't have a devastating slider. Like, my changeup was probably my best pitch for a long time. And so I had to get better. I had to throw harder. I looked at the writing on the wall, and the average fastball velocity in the big leagues was going up by like 1.5 miles every year there for a little bit. And so, especially for right-handed relievers. And so I went home. I was like, talking to Jordan, I'm like, I got to find a way to throw harder, or I'm going to be done here really quickly, because I'm too old to go back to AAA. And they're not going to keep me around. And I'd love to go play overseas, but my dream is to not play overseas. Like, I want to go play in the big leagues.
That's right.
And so that was the goal, man. I had to figure out a way to throw harder, and Driveline helped me get there. That's where I've been ever since.
It's amazing. So you're relying on what you got, right? You do the mindset thing. You're all in on the mindset. The mindset is strong, and no one can take that from you. That takes you as far as you can go. And then you're like, hey, dude, I got to keep adapting. I got to keep improvising. Yep. I got to keep overcoming whatever obstacles, right? You get into the drive line. You're all in. Not that you weren't before, right, in the off seasons, but like you change it up, dude. You get drive line, dude. Now you're getting sexy on the mound, throwing mid to high nines, dude. You got to keep adapting. You got to keep overcoming, and you got to keep improvising. I wanted to talk about something that you just came up with, dude. What is it? The past couple of years, you implemented a cutter.
Yeah.
Dude, is that something that you think almost everybody should try to implement? And B, what is the idea behind it? Is it a certain grip, or is it a certain, are you yanking it? Are you on the side of the ball, or is it, dude, like, take me through that, man. Because I've always tried to force it. I've always had a little natural cut, right? It also led to a couple 10+ errors, right? Like, dude, how are you able to bring that out, man? And like, I don't want to say, are you relying on that in big situations, but like, if you can get off the barrel, right? If you can get the baseball off of the barrel, whether it's cutting an inch or, a couple inches, dude, that's a bunch of wins, man. What is the mindset and the thought process behind the cutter and implementing that into the repertoire?
So you'll like this story, and I'll try and keep it kind of short, because it dates back many years. So I had my rookie year in Seattle, had a good year, finished with like a low 3 ERA, threw well. First day of the offseason, literally the first day. So World Series ends, 5 days. That 6th day, my phone rings. It's Jerry DiPoto, and he goes, "Hey, we just traded you to the Oakland Athletics for Ryan Healy." I'm devastated. All I could, for 6 years, all I dreamed about was helping the Mariners get back to the playoffs for the first time in whoever knows how many years. So I wanted to be part of that group, and I wanted to be part of the first group that get them back to the playoffs. So they traded me to Oakland. I was off to a really good start there, but like, I was also kind of like taking a back seat because Blake Trinan's having maybe the best year of any reliever I've ever seen. He had like a .9, throwing 100-mile-an-hour sinkers. Lou Trevino gets called up. He's, in my opinion, probably should have won Rookie of the Year that year. He's like 70+ innings with a low 2. We've got Yusmeiro Petit, who is a machine. He throws 80 innings out of the bullpen every year. So I'm like sitting down in the back of the bullpen, not really throwing that much. Kind of sour, kind of immature. Like I wanted to be pitching because I had the good year my rookie year. And so I didn't approach it the right way. I wasn't mature about the situation and just understanding like, hey, these guys they're throwing the crap out of the ball. Like, let's just ride them. Which they did. When we made the playoffs, we won 98 games. It was awesome experience to be in the playoffs for the first time. But towards the end of the year, like I'm watching Lou pitch Trevino. He's got this devastating cutter. So he had showed me his grip, and I could not make the ball go left. I just couldn't do it. And so we go to Tampa at the end of the year. It's like mid-September. And old friend Ryan Yarbrough's shagging fly ball in the outfield. Yarby. And so he goes to Tampa, and his career kind of takes off, right? And he's throwing this cutter slider pitch. So I mean, as soon as I get done with my catch program, I walk straight to him all the way across. He's like in the right field corner. I go all the way over, and I go, Yarb, show me the grip. And he immediately knew what I was talking about. So he shows me this cutter grip. I threw like 3 into the bucket from right where he was standing out in right field. And I took it into the game that night. I'm throwing it in the game that night. And immediately realized like this is way better than the slider I've been throwing. Like the slider I've been throwing is terrible. It's getting crushed. And so I take that cutter grip into the game that night, and immediately I'm throwing it like 3 miles an hour harder than my slider. And so Tampa notices it. I'm in Tampa. They notice it on like their camera system, their Kinetrax or whatever it's called. And so fast forward again, I get traded again, like late in the off season, but still before spring training. And so I get traded. I start getting phone calls from Tampa. Their pitching coach, Kyle Snyder, reaches out, and he goes, "Hey, tell me about this breaking ball you started throwing in September." And I go, "Funny story, man. Like, I learned it from you. Like, you taught it to Yarbrough. Yarbrough taught it to me." And he goes, "Really? That's interesting." And so I throw it in Tampa in 2019, had the best year of my career to this point. And, I think it definitely changed my career, that pitch. But then moving past that, 2020, 2021, 2022, I started leaning on it a little bit too much, in my opinion. Like the strength of my game is my fastball. There's no secret about it. Like my fastball is my best pitch. It's why I'm in the big leagues. It's got the low approach angle. It's got the ride. It's got a little bit of velo. And so I started leaning too much on the cutter, and it made it obviously not as good. You start seeing the same off-speed pitch 5-6 times a series, because if I'm throwing a lot, like I'm throwing twice in a series, and generally they try to get you in against your best matchup, so I'm facing the same guys. And so, maybe the first 2 times I show it to them, I get a swing and a miss and a ground ball. Well, then the next 3 times, it's like, all right, hard foul ball, line drive, homer. You know what I mean? And I got to the point where I was trying to be unpredictable, but I was getting more hittable by being unpredictable.
Ooh.
And, I was trying to throw my pitches 50-50% wise, but that's not who I am. Like, that's not understanding what makes me me. And so credit to the Minnesota Twins, man, and their pitching development. They approached me at the end of 2022, and they're like, "Hey, if we look back at 2019, your pitch metrics are almost identical, but your numbers are drastically different. Why is that?" And we looked at it, and they kind of touched on fastball usage. And so in 2019, my fastball usage was over like 55-57%. And then the years following that, it started slowly decreasing to the point where I was throwing more off speed than I was fastballs. Because then I added the split, and I was like split, cutter, fastball. And so I had this awesome year in 19. Everybody wants to talk about it, like what was different. Well, I got away from being me. I got away from being what makes me me on the mound. And then I go back last year to trusting my fastball more. I throw my fastball. I try to be around 55%. And I have almost the identical numbers that I had in 2019, which is, hilarious, outside perspective looking in. But for me at the time, I was like, I could have been doing this all along. Like, you dummy. What have you been doing? Why are you trying to trick people? Throw your fastball. And so as good as the cutter has been, that was a long way to get to this point. It is a very important pitch for me, but my most important pitch is my fastball. And so, I think for the younger kids and guys coming up, whether you're in college or in the minor leagues, like, it's okay to work on things. It's okay to try and get better in certain areas of your game. But also, something that our pitching coach here in Cincinnati says a lot is be great at what you're good at. And so, like, for me, it's my fastball. My fastball needs to be great. I need to be great at my good fastball. For you is your speed. You know what I mean? Like, use your speed to your advantage. For other guys, it's their slider or their curveball or their changeup. And so, that's the approach I'm going to take to it. Again, is just I'm going to be great at throwing my fastball. And then as soon as somebody turns a fastball around and hits it 470 feet, then I'll throw something else.
That's fantastic, dude. So that fires me up. Be great at what you're good at, right? Don't try to be somebody you're not, dude, right? What got you here?
Right.
What got you here? That's absolutely fantastic to hear that, man. Like, something that I struggled with is, obviously, I knew I had the speed. I knew that my legs were my strong suit. I was a little hesitant to fully buy into just, put the ball on the ground and run, button run, dude. I wanted to bang. I wanted to show, I wanted to prove it. And not that I was trying to hit a home run every single pitch, every single AB, but like, if you're not focused on just, hitting a line drive, staying short and compact, start casting, you start getting a little big, right? You start having holes, man. So it's awesome to hear that, man. It's awesome to hear, just like I said, man, the improvising, the adapt, the overcoming, that's fantastic. But being great at what got you here, being great at who you are and maximizing that fires me up, man. So that is something that I think my audience can absolutely eat up and just be able to consume wherever they're at, right? If you're a banger, go ahead and bang, right? If you have great off speed, dude, do your thing. Just being true to yourself, being able to take that as far as you want. That's amazing. Again, we're here with Emilio Pagán, man. Just an inspiring story, absolutely firing me up, man. I wanted to stop for a second and give a shout out to the sponsor of today's stream, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, more specifically the Cleveland Student Visionaries of the Year. It is a philanthropic leadership development program for exemplary high school students. That is a mouthful. Highly motivated leaders embark on a journey of professional growth. Don't laugh, you'll make me laugh. Fostering professional skills such as entrepreneurship, marketing, and project management, all while working to raise as much as possible for the LLS. They are in the middle of their 7-week challenge to raise funds for the fight against blood cancer. The link is in the description. The donate link is up in the banner. It is a great cause for great people. Again, we are here with Emilio Pagán. Dude, I got like 2 more questions for you. I'm so grateful for your time. All right. So you've been around a little bit. You've played a couple different teams, man. You touched on being traded, man. You've touched on signing, multiple. You're in a great spot right now, right? I don't want to get ahead of myself. Where is your favorite spot to play? Where's your favorite spot to visit? Obviously, wherever you are at home is probably your favorite spot right now, right? But when you're on the road, dude, where's the best spot to go? Whether it is playing wise, like field, or if it's like the overall atmosphere. I just had Justin Steele on here. Dude, I think it was Monday. I think it was either last Monday or this Monday. And he was talking about, dude, he loves being in Miami because he's a sucker for a beach vacation, right? If he can get an off day there, dude, he's living the dream. Where is your favorite spot to go and why?
So I actually don't enjoy the traveling aspect of this game. I'm a big homebody. I like being at home with my family. That's just who I am as a person. So, I don't necessarily, when we go to a place, I don't get out of the hotel much. My wife will drag me out. Jordan will drag me out, and she's like, "We're going to go here today," because she's much better at the traveling than I am. But as far as playing goes, Yankee Stadium, hands down, it's not close. For me, growing up, it felt like every October the World Series was in New York. We're around the same age. Like in the 90s, they were in the World Series every single year. So like when I thought about the best teams and the most important games, I always thought about Yankee Stadium. And I've always wanted to play there. I've always wanted to beat the Yankees. My parents grew up in Jersey, and so I've got some family and some friends up in New York that have come and watched me play, and it's just a special place, man. It's the mecca of sports, in my opinion. I mean, you think of some of the greatest championship teams of all time, like it's the New York Yankees. You know what I mean? And so I've always enjoyed playing there. The fans are ruthless. The teams obviously they're loaded from 1 through 9. Their lineups are always good. It's the mecca of baseball, and so I've always wanted to play there, and I take every opportunity there. Very special.
Oh, dude, that's awesome, man. That's a spot that I wish I absolutely could have been to. I've spectated a game there. Dude, I've heard a little bit about like how amazing the food is there and the treatment, right? So I've heard that you can get literally anything you want pregame, right? They'll have sushi, like steak, whatever it is, postgame, like it is. You're at a 5-star restaurant. Is that true?
Yes, 100%. They have the best food in the big leagues, and you can basically get whatever you want. Especially like on getaway day, like they have like 5 or 6 different stations of food, all kinds of stuff. They've got the pizza, they've got the New York style pizza, they've got steak, they've got lobster tail, they've got it all. They've got an Italian section, they've got a Latin food section, they've got it all, man. So my favorite thing there, they've got this skirt steak that they serve pregame with like a vodka penne pasta sauce. Oh man, it's so good.
It's amazing, bro. Oh, I'm so hungry right now. That's amazing. So that's okay. So I'm glad that is confirmed, right?
Yes.
That's confirmed. That is not a rumor. So that is the favorite spot to go. That's the favorite spot to visit. I got 2 more questions for you, brother. I am so grateful for your time, dude. I'm trying not to have this drag on, but I got a million things running through my head. I want to bounce off you. Toughest hitter you faced and why?
Man, I don't want to admit this, but I will. Alex Bregman, man, he controls the zone so well. Like you can't get him to chase. He's always on plane. Like his bat path is in the zone for so long. We've had some good battles, man, like 12, 13 pitch at bats. And he's clipped me a couple times. I've gotten him a couple times. But I know every time he comes to the plate, I know I better bring my best foot forward. I don't know if he sees it really well off of me or not, but it feels like it. I remember in 18, I had just started throwing this splitter, and I hadn't thrown it to any right-handed hitters yet. I was only throwing it to lefties. And I'm in the middle of this like 10 or 11 pitch battle with Bregman. And we get to 3-2. And I think Jonathan Lucroy was catching. He comes out and makes a mound visit. He goes, "Hey, let's stick this heater away. And if he hits it, he hits it. But like, we've showed him everything we got." And I go, "No, we haven't. I'm throwing him a split right here. He's not going to see it coming. He's going to swing over the top." I was like, all I got to do is execute it just below the zone, and I'm going to get a swing and a miss. And Lucroy kind of looks at me like I got 3 heads, because he's like, "You just started throwing this pitch. Like, we're not throwing that right now." He's this veteran catcher that's been around the game a lot longer than I have. And I just look at him. I'm like, "Dude, I'm throwing the splitter. Like, let's do it." And he goes, "All right, let's do it." And I throw the best splitter I've thrown in my life to this point, just below the zone at like 90 miles an hour. I've been throwing heaters up and away at 97. And he just like, it's almost like he was spitting on it halfway to home plate. You know what I mean? And I just kind of look at him, and he's walking down the line, and he kind of like, nods his head like, "Hey, good pitch, but not this time." And so fast forward, we're in San Diego. We trade for Joe Musgrove. Musgrove knows him really well. I have another long at bat with him, and he flies out to the warning track. And I look over at him at third base. I grab Joe Musgrove, and I'm like, "Hey, get your boy's attention. I need to say something." So he like is whistling at him or something to get his attention. He looks over, and I just put my hands up in the air. Like, "Dude, you can't hit the ball that well against me every single time." You know what I mean? Like, at least once, give me a quick 1-pitch rollover. Like, I'm battling for my life out there.
It's amazing, dude.
I'll go him.
That's amazing. And I think that's cool. I've talked about Alex Bregman on the podcast before. We've kind of talked about his work ethic a couple times, especially at LSU, man. There's obviously, however you want to look at it, there's discrepancies about, dude, what's gone on in the past, man. Like at the end of the day, guy works hard. Guy isn't necessarily physically imposing, right? He might be a little smaller, right? Same with the Altuve thing, man. Like those are, regardless of how you want to say it, those guys are ballers to be able to do what they are doing right at that level, regardless of anything that's said about them, man. Like to be able to compete at that level over X amount of time and have that physicality, dude. It's amazing. So, Emilio Pagán, this is my last question for you. This is obviously the 9-hole podcast, dude, where we talk to the next generation of 9-hole hitters, man. So when you think about a 9-hole hitter, man, what traits, qualities, characteristics, dude, make up a good 9-hole hitter? You are motoring through a lineup. It is a big spot, and you're cutting through the order like butter. But there's this 9-hole hitter that you just don't want to face. Why? What does he do? What is he able to do? And how is he able to make that AB tough?
So something that I used to hear you say all the time coming up, pregame in the minor leagues, we're in the dugout, and we're looking at the lineup or whatever. Your favorite thing, at least what seemed like your favorite thing from my perspective, was to ask the hitting coach, hey, what round was this guy drafted in? You know what I mean? For the starting pitcher that day.
That's right.
And I loved it. I absolutely loved it because your mindset was, I hope he's a first rounder because I'm going to show him that I should have been a first rounder. I'm going to show him that I'm just as good, if not better than he is. And he better meet me at that spot today or I'm going to eat his lunch. And so that's something that's always stuck with me, man. Like the guys that embody, like embracing the 9-hole are guys that are like bulldog mentality. Like I'm coming to beat you today. They're normally pretty aggressive at the dish, ready to hit from pitch one. And you better, the 9-hole, historically people talk about the 9-hole as this is an out, baseball's too good, especially at the highest levels. Like there's no sure out in the big leagues. And so, you can't approach it that way. And if you do, that 9-hole is going to crush you. And so, that's something that's always stuck out to me and a memory that I think about all the time. And kind of something that I have tried to implement into my game. Like when I take the mound and somebody's in the batter's box that signs for hundreds of millions of dollars, like what would Ian say right now? Like, oh, you signed for how much? All right, watch this. You know what I mean?
Dude, I love that. Oh, I love that.
Man, it's something that stuck with me back from the first time I heard it in Pulaski, and that was 11 years ago now. And I've tried to run with it, man. I loved it then. I love it now. And, that's kind of what I think of.
That fires me up, man. It's crazy, dude. Obviously, like in the beginning years, like that stuff matters. Where you're drafted, dude, how much money they invested in you. So I always took that as a chip on my shoulder. Like, dude, what? Yeah, that guy signed for a couple hundred G's. Like, let me embarrass him. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I actually forgot about that, brother. I swear I forgot about that. I like all the way to like Menchaca, Chaka. Dude, I had Will Venable on here. So Max was the hitting coach in high. I remember asking those guys all the time. Yeah, what round was that guy that dweeb drafted in? You know what I mean, dude? I remember that. It's crazy.
Laugh so hard every time you asked him.
Oh, dude, I remember that. I remember, brother. Good times, man. Dude, thank you so much for everything. I love the Ballingy group. The sweatshirt, man. Represent. Big time work. Pagán, thank you so much for your time, brother. Thank you for answering the gauntlet, running you through the gauntlet with all the questions, man. Thank you again, dude. Looking forward to the continued success. Looking forward to another huge year. Thank you, dude, for your time, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, I appreciate you having me on, and we'll do it again sometime.
I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to it after a playoff berth this year. Some success in the postseason, brother. Maybe we'll rendezvous. Maybe after the All-Star game when you go 1, 2, 3 or something like that, we'll rendezvous, dude. We'll talk about it. Thank you, dude, for your time. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. We will catch you tomorrow for Blast Motion. Woo! Appreciate you.